everyone. So I'm back again as promised, even though it took a month, with another short video. And today's focus is going to be on some really simple core exercises that you can do to start to understand a little bit of the relationship between your shoulders, your hips, and your core, because it's all integrated. And also starting to realize that your core is not just about your belly, it's 360 degrees. It's the front, it's the sides, it's the back, and how everything works together and integrates to help give you good control of your spine, your core. The muscles of your core mobilize and stabilize your spine is what they do. And maybe we'll also work in a little bit of breathing because the movement of your breath also plays a big role in how your core sort of operates within the overall movement of your body. So the practice is going to be on hands and knees, and this can also be done at a wall. So if hands and knees is not your thing, you can do this at a wall. Your feet will be on the ground, your hands will be placed on a wall in front of you. So you're on hands and knees. I'm going to do a little bit of a diagonal here. And this is really simple. The first thing you're going to do is just start. You've got your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and just kind of feel how the weight is distributed across all four connection points to the ground. Notice your breathing. And then just lift your right hand up off the ground and notice what happens. Notice what happens to the left hand, the left knee, the right knee, and what you kind of feel through your belly. And then place the right hand back down. And when you place the hand back down, again, feel what changes. And you're going to do that a few times. You're going to lift the hand, feel, and place it back down. And you're going to do that maybe 3 or 4 more times. Again, really paying attention. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. So this is a very simple movement that actually has kind of a big effect. And then you'll go ahead and do the same thing with the left hand. You'll lift the left hand up. And notice how the weight shifts between the other 3 connections to the ground. And place the hand back down. And again, you'll repeat that maybe 4, 5, 6 times so you can really start to feel kind of the shift from when you have both hands and both knees to one hand and 2 knees. Okay, so then pause for a moment. Then you're going to experiment, do the same thing with your legs. So you're going to get I'm going to do this on the left side first so you guys can see. You're going to lift your left knee and left foot up off the floor. And notice again how the weight redistributes to the 2 hands and the other leg. And you'll lift and lower a couple times. And as you start to do this, first with the hands and now with the knees, hopefully you can start to notice some diagonal patterns where it's the opposite hand to knee that will bear the weight. And if you're not feeling that, that's okay. This type of work is really good for starting to repattern that, and if you are feeling it, that's great. This type of really simple core work, you can go ahead and switch over now to lifting up the right knee and the right toes. Is really good for beginning to reestablish some cross-body patterning and sort of re-coordinating the way opposite shoulder and opposite hip work together to support you. Okay, so now instead of lifting, we're going to reinforce contact with the ground. So the first thing you're going to do is press your right hand into the floor a lot, right? It's not going to look like I'm doing a whole lot here, but I am. And when you press your right hand into the floor, notice how the other 3 points of connection respond. What also presses down along with the right hand? And relax. And again, you're going to repeat that a few times. Press the right hand down and relax. And as you start to do this, hopefully you can begin to feel that your left knee automatically begins to root down when you press the right hand down. And just inherently by pushing the hand down, you're activating your core, right? So your hand and your shoulder are doing this work, but you can feel the whole midsection of your body turning on. So again, that starts to kind of create some awareness around how what your shoulder does integrates with what your core, kind of your midsection, is doing. Then switch to the left hand, root down through the left hand, and relax. And just keep repeating that. And again, hopefully you'll start to notice when you press the left hand down, your right knee automatically presses down, working on that diagonal pattern. And these diagonal patterns also exist on the back of your body as well. And we may not have time to explore that in this video, but that'll actually be my next follow-up, which I'll try to get out next week. Now I'm accountable, right? Couple more times. And now switch. Go back to the right knee. Push down the right knee and the right toes. And notice how your left hand roots down. And relax. And try that a couple times. You might be able to feel this more strongly. Right, so now this is your hip actually working. When you press your leg and your foot into the floor, some of that movement is initiating from your hip. So what your hip is doing is traveling up across your core and into your opposite shoulder. It's pretty cool. And then switch and press down the left knee and the left toes and feel how the right hand roots down. And relax and repeat that a few times. And cross-body work like this and kind of reestablishing and reinforcing these patterns is really important for gait, for walking. Walking is just a constant combination and series of cross-body. That's why when your right foot steps forward, your left arm swings forward. And relax. One more time. Left knees, left toes push down. Feel the right hand root down. And relax. Okay, that's a lot on the hands and the wrists. So go ahead, take a break. I'm going to take a child's pose. You could sit up. You can lay on your belly. Just take a couple breaths. Feel your breath moving in and out. And if you're in a child's pose, take this opportunity to feel the way your breath is moving and see if you can use your breath to create some movement, some expansion through the back of the ribs. I'm putting my hand up here to show you where I mean. Big breath in, exhale out. And you can even put your hand up here to kind of give yourself some feedback as to where you want the movement to happen. Okay, and then come on back up to hands and knees. Okay, so then we're just going to start to put some of this movement together. You're going to press down the right hand and the left knee at the same time. They're going to go together. And then isometrically drag them towards each other, which means you're dragging but no movement's happening. It's kind of as if your hand and your knee were glued to the floor and you were trying to pull them off by pulling them towards each other, and then relax. And then try that with the opposite. Left hand to right knee, root down and drag towards each other, so on a diagonal. And relax. And then you're going to root down through all four connection points, both hands, both knees, and you can even include the toes. Push down. Feel how your kneecaps get light. And if you want to take this a bit further, you can then float your kneecaps up off the floor and lower down. Root down again through the hands, the knees, the toes. Kneecaps get light, lift up and lower. And you can repeat that as many times as you like, and until your wrists feel like you can always take a break. When you're doing any type of strengthening work, you want to work up until the point that you feel some level of fatigue, but not until failure. So you want to feel like you could do maybe 2 or 3 more repetitions of whatever it is that you're doing. You want to stop there. So you don't want to go until you're dying and you can't do another single movement, because by then your form is gone and you're compensating and you're moving some other part of your body that you're not really intending to move. So, if your wrists are really tired, take a break, come off of them. And then you can always revisit it or, come back another day. So then the last piece of this for today is going to be a little bit of crawling. And crawling, again, you're close to the floor. You've got a lot of feedback for your nervous system because your hands, your knees, your toes are touching the ground. You're going to crawl forwards and just crawl without really thinking about it, and notice how your hands and your knees are working together. So your opposite hand and opposite knee should be moving at the same time. If you have a cat or a dog, if you ever watch them walk, you'll notice that they're opposite. The front leg and the back leg, they're opposite sides that are moving together. Because if you try to move the same side, you can try that. It's kind of interesting. Balance will be really, really tricky. But sometimes we lose some of this coordination just because we move with very little variability. So a couple times forwards and backwards here. And then you can progress this if you want by doing that knee hover and crawling on your hands and your toes instead of your hands and your knees. This is quite a bit more challenging. It could be something that you work up to. Sometimes this is called a bear crawl. And make sure that you're not kind of coming up. Not that this is bad. You actually could regress it a little bit. If being closer to the ground feels too challenging, you can kind of pike your hips up and crawl here. Actually, that's a good way to make it a little bit more accessible. If knees close to the ground is actually going to be harder. It might seem counterintuitive. And then take a rest. Child's pose, rest on your belly, have a seat. So there's a little bit of an exploration of your core, the front of the core primarily. Next week I will share with you guys a practice that kind of picks up on these same concepts but works the back of the body. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching and trying it out.